Imagine you own a neighborhood coffee shop. Tomorrow morning, a rush of customers will walk through your doors. And right now, you have to decide exactly how many croissants to bake. It's a high-stakes guessing game. Bake too many, and you're throwing away money when they go stale at closing time. Bake too few, and you're turning away paying customers who leave disappointed. Instinct tells us that to predict tomorrow accurately, we should look outward. We assume we need to track the weather, monitor morning traffic patterns, or even keep an eye on the stock market. But in the 1970s, two statisticians named George Box and Gwilym Jenkins popularized a completely different approach. They found that if a factory wants to predict how many shoes it will produce next month, it doesn't actually need to look at interest rates or temperatures. It only needs to look at its own past data on shoe production. The core idea is that any business or process leaves a signature on its own history. If you know how to read the patterns in your own past, you can see where you're going without needing to look anywhere else. Think of it as data having a memory. If you sell exactly 100 croissants on Monday, that momentum makes it very likely you'll see a similar crowd on Tuesday. In statistics, this self-connection is known as autocorrelation. To find this connection, we take a timeline of your sales, duplicate it, and shift it backwards by one day. By lining yesterday's numbers up against today's, we can mathematically see how much the past is influencing the present. We can keep testing this, shifting the line back 2 days, 3 days, or more. Usually, the further back we go, the weaker that relationship becomes. Once we prove that today's data is holding hands with the past, we can harness that memory to build a reliable forecasting model. The first part of that model is called autoregressive, or AR. It works by creating a simple rule. Tomorrow's sales will be a mix of the sales from the last few days. It assumes there is a direct, predictable chain of influence moving from one day to the next. But life isn't always that predictable. Imagine a tourist bus unexpectedly breaks down outside your shop on a quiet Tuesday. Your sales suddenly skyrocket as 50 passengers rush in for coffee and pastries. A basic AR model sees that massive Tuesday spike and assumes it's the new normal. It falsely projects another huge spike for Wednesday, meaning you'll bake way too much and end the day with a lot of waste. To fix this, we add a second component called a moving average, or MA. Instead of looking at your total sales, the MA part looks only at the random surprises. It recognizes the tourist bus as a shock to the system, an error that shouldn't be repeated in the forecast. It acts like a statistical shock absorber, ensuring that one-off random events don't ruin your predictions for the future. You might wonder why we don't just use a massive AR model or a huge MA model to track everything. That's why we use the ARMA combination. It tracks both your steady, day-to-day momentum and those random surprises at the same time. This works because of a simple rule. The more complicated you make the math, the more room you leave for errors to creep in. By combining the best parts of both models, we keep the forecast lean and efficient. This creates a model that is much more accurate than overcomplicating a single approach. But there is one major catch. These models only work correctly if your data stays relatively flat over time. This is a stationary series. While the numbers bounce around, they always hover around a steady, flat center line. Now, imagine your shop goes viral on social media. Suddenly, your daily sales start trending upward, climbing higher every single week. As you can see on this chart, a trending dataset breaks the rules. Because the average is constantly shifting, the basic model can't find its footing. To fix this, we use a technique called differencing. Instead of looking at your total sales, the model tracks only the change from day to day. If you sold 5 more croissants today than yesterday, we just record that plus 5. This differencing technique flattens the climbing mountain of data, turning it into a horizontal line that the model can easily understand again. When you put these 3 pieces together, you get the complete system, ARIMA, autoregressive for your past history, integrated for flattening out your trends, and moving average for random surprises. Whether you're managing global manufacturing or just a morning pastry rush, you don't need to see into the future. You just need to know how to listen to the patterns of the past.